Welcome in, everyone. It is Tuesday night, which means one thing and one thing only. It's the Fantasy Cheat Sheet brought to you by Going For Two. But before we get into the casting crew, you know what we got to do. Hit that intro.
Uh. Yeah. Yeah.
What is going on, everyone? Fantasy Cheat Sheet Week 15. We're back. Hoping to guide everyone to their fantasy championships. We're on the eve of playoffs. I suppose there's some of those weird leagues out there that have that Week 14 playoff. Y'all got to get that fixed. But for the rest of us, Week 15 brings upon the fantasy playoffs. We're back as a trio again. Unfortunately, Mike, on the injury reports, looked like he was practicing in full. Time to make his comeback. Late downgrade to limited, questionable, doubtful, and now out. Mike, we wish you all the best, and we'll hold it down in your stead. Of course, joined by my two co-hosts here. How you doing, Jamie?
Yes, welcome to the show, everyone, where we go balls deep in the stats. We ride those studs hard. We measure every inch like it's the only thing that matters because in fantasy football, sometimes it really does matter. So, as you can see, though, like we're missing Mike again this episode, but that just means I don't get censored. So, how do you know when a football player has been to jail?
I don't know.
When he goes in as a tight end and comes out playing wide receiver.
So for all our viewers, if you were here last week, you'll kind of know what that Mike absence means for the tone of our episodes. So that's just a little bit of preview. Jordan, let's maybe bring a little semblance of sanity back to here.
I'm doing good, man. Ready to talk some fantasy football as we get ready for the playoffs. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So let's get right into the show. We have a few pieces of news. Of course, the major one, pour one out for all your Indianapolis Colts fans. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones really had graduated Danny Dollars. We saw the progression on this show week by week by week, but tears his Achilles out for the season. Out. I mean, I heard today maybe week one, but you got to think that's in jeopardy. Only on a 1 year contract. Really quite a shame. Jordan, take me through what you think both, the Colts franchise, but also the impact on all their fantasy assets.
I think it's my first reaction was that it's a downgrade to all the weapons. I mean, obviously, they're talking about Phillip Rivers signing to the practice squad at 44 years old with a gaggle of kids probably behind him going to practice. So Riley Leonard is also banged up as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he may not play. So then they may thrust old man Rivers into it right out of the gate. That is not going to bode well as we're relying on Tyler Warren and Michael Pittman for our fantasy playoff matchups. You can't feel confident starting those guys, regardless of who the quarterback is. I mean, Leonard stepped in after Jones got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a tough spot for a young guy to be in general. So, I don't really look too much into it. But as far as for us relying on those weapons, I'm not confident starting really any of those guys. Maybe Warren at the most, but the wide receivers, no, I don't really want to start any of those guys. And for Daniel Jones, the franchise in general, it feels like it puts them back at a place where they've been since Andrew Luck retired. Just looking for that next guy. Most of them placeholders, older guys. Look like they finally found a youngish quarterback that they can rely on. Not count Anthony Richardson, who they've quickly gave up on for whatever reason. But this kind of is a setback. I think they have to go back to the drawing board and kind of reevaluate that,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe like it's not like a basketball player getting an Achilles injury. That doesn't necessarily mean like everything's over with. He did use his running ability, so that may affect him, especially in the upcoming year when he comes back, and he won't be fully healthy, I believe, for like 2 seasons. So that kind of limits his fantasy upside and what he can bring to the franchise. So I'm not saying he's done in Indianapolis, but I think this changes how they look at things going forward.
Yeah, definitely. A quick hello to Albert. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, back to the drawing board, but now without their next two first round picks, right? Just traded away for Sauce
It's
Gardner,
lost.
who of
Yeah.
course himself got injured, but it just really speaks how quickly things could change in the NFL. Jordan didn't mention him there. I'm not sure by choice or I think the more interesting debate, pass catcher is the easier to bench, perhaps. But Jamie, what do you think about Jonathan Taylor in this next 3 weeks? Fantasy, kingmaker this time last year and so far this season. But how are you kind of evaluating JT in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, with Danny Dimes going down, that was tough for me because that was one of my hot takes that was coming to
Hmm.
fruition finally after 2 years. But the Colts right now for this week, they are sitting at an 11 and a half point underdog. Last I checked,
Hmm.
and their team total is only 16 points, and that's going to be a problem for that offense. Like Jonathan Taylor takes the biggest hit, I think, for fantasy because it's going to mean fewer scoring chances,
Hmm.
more negative game scripts, and that means I could see them actually putting in extra work for Amir Abdullah. I believe that's the pass catcher in that
Hmm.
offense. So if they're down bad and they need to pass it more, that I don't know if they're going to keep Jonathan Taylor on the field because we haven't really seen him as a pass catcher before. And Jordan mentioned it, like Pittman's downgraded, Pierce is downgraded. I'm even downgrading Warren, and I'm not happy about starting him. But if I have to, I will. But this is just a horrible situation for the Colts.
Yeah, very, very tough. I mean, we were just chatting right before we went live about how fantasy football is one season of 14 games and then another season of 3 games. And the guys who got you there don't, it doesn't mean anything just yet. I mean, for me, just toss Tyler Warren in as the Wildcat QB, and we'll be just all right for fantasy. Maybe not the Colts, but another just quick piece of news. This actually happened in the Thursday night game last week. CD Lamb left that game with pretty brutal looking concussion. Now he did have a couple extra days, and so far all the practice reports have been good. It indicate to CD Lamb playing, but take me through the impact, Jamie. If CD's out, they play the Vikings. So what would be an impact? I guess obvious
I
one is
mean,
George Pickens, huh?
yeah, we've seen it before, and it's going to be the pick and show. Sprinkle in some Jake Ferguson, and then they'll probably just run it a lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe Ryan Flournoy would be interesting, but it's the fantasy playoffs. You can't throw a guy like Ryan Flournoy in your lineup.
Yeah, yeah. Time for that's probably come and gone. But we'll certainly in the cheat of the week segment, we'll try to get you some desperate suggestions that you need. So let's move right on to Monday Night Football takeaways. Eagles, Chargers, tight game won by the Chargers in the end. Jamie, what is your takeaway from this Monday night game?
I just want to talk AJ Brown a little bit. Like he ripped off his third straight 100 plus yard game, and it's the Eagles. Like they lost three straight. So every time he
Hmm.
gets 100 yards plus, the Eagles lose. So it just doesn't look good because when your wide receiver is this hot and the team is just that cold, that's a real red flag for the team as a whole. So Philly has to get back to their identity, their like the physical run game, control tempo, letting Jalen Hurts operate, and the offense is just too predictable right now. Just throwing shots up to AJ Brown. It's either AJ or bust. Honestly, 13 targets, caught six of the balls. Uh, they need to spread it around more. Use your other elite wide receiver on the team. So, bottom line, AJ Brown is doing his job, but the Eagles need to fix the stuff around him. They have a great chance at winning the next 3 or 4 matchups.
Hmm.
Pretty easy schedule, but they need to get their shit together.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question, Jamie. If he caught 6 of 13, how many did he not catch?
Let's see, six. Oh, seven, 6, 7.
uh, sorry, Jordan. Give me your takeaway, please.
Man, Justin Herbert, I was just impressed with not the numbers, but just the way that he willed the team to a victory. The defense obviously made plays as well, 4 interceptions for Jalen Hurts. Shout out to the defense, but man, Herbert running the ball when he needed to. This dude broke his hand last week, had surgery, and it wasn't his throwing hand, but still handoffs, all those things like. He completed around 50% of his passes, so it wasn't a great throwing game, but just he made the right reads at the right time, especially late in the game. Like a couple of those runs, even like I think it was in overtime, he got like 2 yards just kind of going up the middle, just reassuring Dicker being able to make the field goal to kind of seal it for those guys. Man, he played well. I was impressed with him and just kind of gritting through that, even though like it wasn't his best. The offensive line shot to hell. He was running for his life, but he was still able to make some plays.
Yeah, very, very impressive. And Justin Herbert's that kind of guy that's I feel like has been playing through banged up like every
All
year,
the
and
time.
yeah, and we're just seeing like the best of him in this situation. Though I do kind of worry for fantasy playoffs. He's got Texans in week 17, I think Chiefs in 15, and let me just look up who they have in 16. But
Not a
oh,
good schedule.
Cowboys. Yeah, but Cowboys in week 16 though. So yeah, don't give up on Herbert. Yeah, it didn't really show in the box score, but if you watch that game, you certainly came away impressed. I'm going to take it back to the Eagles side and talk about Saquon Barkley, who did go off for 18.2 half PPR points. That's 20 carries, 122 yards. Huge touchdown run, right? Just what we saw so much from Saquon last year and have not seen enough. And it's not even just like the explosive plays being gone. There's just so many of these run plays that Eagles call that are literally met at the line of scrimmage for zero gain on the play, Saquon on first down, and then it's a missed pass on second down, and before you know it's like 3 and out, right? But that kind of just reminded everyone really what Saquon can do in the matter of one play. And like as Jamie, you were talking about like AJ Brown and AJ Brown doing well and they've been losing. Like let's go back to some ball control. And I really wonder if they're gonna lean heavy on Saquon down the line, especially Lane Dickerson. Like the offensive line could get some pieces back, and there are all these splits. But Jamie, you brought up the schedule: Raiders, Commanders, and Bills, 15 through 17, right? All matchups you really want to be you're targeting with that running back. So don't sleep on Saquon. Only the RB 17 in points per game, 2.5 PPR. But well, again, one of those guys that has top 5 upside really with his talent. So I think that's enough on that Eagles Chargers game. Really, overall, just have to be, man. Eagles should be so much better than they are, right? And they just
Right.
stink it up every single time. Not to move on, actually, what do you guys think? This is a little weird. They were on the 2 yard line, 1.5 yard line, and didn't push. It was like on one of their first drives, right? Like, what could have been the reason for that?
I don't know, but I don't know if it was last week. It might have been the Black Friday game. Yeah, last or around the Black Friday game against the Bears.
Yeah.
The broadcast talked about Jalen Hurts like not being a fan of the tush push, and if it was up to him, they probably would have banned it. So like I don't know if he's voicing this to the coaching staff or whatever the case may be, or what, but it's obviously going around that he's not the offensive line. Maybe that the offensive line isn't as strong as it's been with the injuries, that it's not as effective and they don't want to use it. I don't know. Maybe that's hurting more people. I have no idea, but it's something that, because it felt like before they was running it whenever it was 3rd and 2, they would run it 2 straight plays if it didn't work, and now they're kind of tailing back. Maybe they're saving it. I don't know, but it was weird that they didn't run it.
Yeah, just vibes are very weird over there. So tell me a little bit more about vibes in this next segment, which is, of course, real or fake. So, Jamie, tell me about the vibes about your first guy, which viewers, and I'm quoting from our show sheet, Jamie's reel is listed as surprise, mother effer. So,
Yes, I'm excited about this one, man. This is a guy who needs to be on all of your radars, and it's for great reason. So let me talk to you real quick about Cleveland's own Big Game James at Jamie Perogue. Yes, this is completely real, a real take, because this man is a certified baller. Going into last week, already locked in 22 Dynasty playoffs, 22 out of 29 squads. Then the week hits and he punches 2 more tickets, and boom, 24 out of 29 playoff leagues, 4 Dynasty, and 7 first round bye weeks. That's not luck. That's not variance. That's a dude who knows how to build long term Dynasty, winning monster teams, and just winning year after year after year. And here's the kicker: didn't just dominate Dynasty, went 2 for 2 in redraft. That's a clean sweep. 100% hit rate for playoffs in redraft. You know what that tells me? This man doesn't suck at all. He cooks, he schemes, he builds winners. Say his name with me: Big Game James. So
Big Game
Raul,
J.
Raul, bro, you've been doing Dynasty content all off season on the same show at the Fantasy Six Pack. Are you convinced yet that time travel is real and this is the ultimate cheat code to follow this guy?
Jamie, I absolutely believe that you are from the future. You've put together a very impressive season. Real talk from you, from Jordan, from Mike, from Kyle in the Fantasy Six Pack. One of the biggest reasons I love doing these podcasts is it lets me like pick your guys' brains too. I'm like bringing the best of your fantasy games, hopefully to my fantasy game, and I do feel like it improves what I do. And of course, podcasting. I'm pretty new to the podcast grind. I love doing this stuff with you. So, but back to fantasy football, back to whether that take is real. I do endorse it as real. Follow Jamie Perot, Big Game Jame. Give you a couple of concrete examples, especially on the dynasty side. This man, had the blueprint for generational wealth, backing Jackson Dart as his QB1, in the 2025 class, and hitting very hard on Harold Fannin and Rondé Gatson. So,
And Drake May. I mean, the list goes on, guys.
Let's go to the fake, man.
Jordan channel is inner Mike there. So yeah, let's go to the fake.
All right, so my fake is Tony Pollard. I'm saying Pollard got lucky last week. He was on the bubble for me to actually drop him. He's only been averaging like between 5 to 10 points, barely gets that. Not someone I wanted to put in my lineups. He blew up last week: 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's 28 fantasy points. And to me, this has to be like a fantasy trap written all over it, because managers are going to want to chase that big blow up game. But unless you're like completely desperate, that's not a recommended strategy going forward, especially now that we're in the ride or die playoff game. What really stands out fake to me was that Browns defense, because if they played the way they did every other game, the Browns would win this game easily. So Stefanski was seriously like in a nut shot of win this game. Like, I think he could actually lose his job, and especially if it happens again. But he could be on the bubble. And how does the worst offense put up 31 points on the best defense in the league? Doesn't make sense to me. Then you got Shitter Sanders. He played very well for the most part, right? But when I saw that third quarter interception and then Pollard scored right after that, like, you could put the blame on Sanders for losing that game, not just Stefanski. So, like, Shitter looked like trash in that game he won against the Raiders, right? But everyone's, giving him the doubt. And now that he actually played well and the Browns lose, they're shitting on Stefanski. And yeah, so it this doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like this is a total Browns move, and it's just going to keep happening over and over again.
So one, that's hate. That's hate on Shador. That was hate.
Why you
He
hating on him? I said he did great.
you call first of all you call him shitter. So
Yeah, I
that,
mean that's his name. If you type his name into AI, it pronounces as shitter.
anyway, no, but we so I definitely think that he had some bad plays, which yeah, of course he is going to have some bad plays, but he out of the quarterbacks that are on the roster, he shows the most upside. Like
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, his 21-day window is open. I don't want to see any more of him. Dylan Gabriel, we've seen enough of him as well. He looks like he has some pop. He has some electricity a little bit on for the offense, and so that's a positive sign. As far as Tony Pollard, definitely a fake. I'm sick of him. I've mentioned this time and time again. I was mad at the Browns for allowing him to tease people that he could do this because, like, he should stay on waiver wires unless you're desperate. Um, I dropped him in a couple leagues. I'm not running to pick him up. I don't care. He can go win a championship on somebody else's roster. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely think it's fake. I wouldn't trust that, especially where we are right now in the season.
Yeah, yeah. I thought for a second you were gonna avoid even talking about Tony Pollard there, Jordan. But you have to get that say. And so going right back to you, let's go through your real and fake this week.
Yeah, my real is Bucky Irving, man. The Bucks running backs in general just haven't been able to be efficient on the ground like at any point this season. Whether it's Sean Tucker had a really good game against the Bills, I believe it was a few weeks ago, like
Mhm.
where he ran efficiently. But Bucky, 3.7 yards a carry, but receiving touchdown finish as RB 13. In every game he's played, he hasn't finished lower than RB 15. Averaged his average for the season is around 3.8 yards a carry, something like that. But his receiving work, having 3 receiving touchdowns, has kind of saved him in almost every game that he's played, and this wasn't any different. I mean, I'm not gonna knock him for it. I mean, you can score a touchdown, you get a touchdown, and it counts all the same. So, this is just what you can expect. RB 1 ish finish for him, not necessarily eating up a lot of yards per carry, but getting receiving work and having a chance to score every week.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. Real on Bucky Irving. The only thing I'll add really is the schedule looks very juicy for running backs next 3 weeks. Falcons on Thursday night to kick off playoffs, then Panthers, and finally the Miami Dolphins, who did have gone better since the first half of the
Yep.
year in that running back split, but still, Bucky Irving looks certainly locked in as a top 12 running back, and you could have been a little concerned with like 3 guys there, banged up all season. I think that's gone away. Like Bucky's clearly the hot hand, but something we'll get into a second in my real or fake. I do want to talk about the Bucks offense, but at least Bucky Irving, I certainly think is real. So take us through your fake, Jordan.
Tim Patrick. I think it was like a perfect start for the Jags. They had it all going for the most part. ATN had some good runs. Didn't run the ball really efficiently, less than 4 yards a carry, but he had a nice touchdown run, 2 scores on the day. Trevor Lawrence, couple of touchdowns, no turnovers. But just Tim Patrick, had 6 targets, tied with Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange. Um, Turned it into 5 catches, 78 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I guess it's possible, but he's definitely like the fourth target on that team behind Jacoby Myers, who had the most targets on the team with 10, Thomas, Strange, and then Patrick. He's a big body, so he may have opportunities in the red zone. He caught a touchdown a few weeks ago, but that was just one of those games where you get 2 catches, one of them is a touchdown and saves your
Mhm.
day. I expect more of a games like that from him as opposed to kind of the consistent 4 to 5 catches, 50 yards variety. the Jaguars offense isn't throwing for 300 yards. So it's going to be rare that you see Jacoby Myers had all those targets, but couldn't turn it. It couldn't really connect on a lot of these plays. Some of them were just off. And if he would have kind of converted some of those catches, Patrick's day would have looked different. And I see them consistently looking for Myers. So I see that kind of building with Trevor Lawrence, Thomas coming back. So he's going to have opportunities in the red zone. But other than that, I don't see him as much more than a red zone target, touchdown or bust type of guy.
Yep. Jamie?
I mean, he said it well. I mean, I'm not trusting, what is he, 32, 33 already? Brand new team, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe put him in for like 3 or 4 points, but I don't think he's going to get 15, 18, whatever he got.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you take away that touchdown, that's still like only like a 10-point game, right? So I don't think it's going to continue.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys there. So my reel today, I feel like is actually a topic that everyone in fantasy is kind of scared to approach. It's gone on long enough, man. And I need to know what am I doing on Thursday, right? Because this guy plays on Thursday. Tell me about Emeka Egbuka. I unfortunately think his downturn in form is real, at least for the end of this season. We all know the stats, right? An unbelievably hot start, favorite for offensive rookie of the year. Like could not do any wrong. Emeka Egbuka. Since the bye, a couple of games before the bye, but really since the bye, completely fallen off. Only above 42 receiving yards in one game in the last 6. And I think what especially stands out is he only has one game over that period with above a 50% catch rate, which kind of a baffling number really to look at because the targets are there. If I read the targets, 12, 9, 13, 9, 8, 8, 9. And I asked you to guess like where this wide receiver was doing in fantasy, I'd probably say like a top 12, top 8 wide receiver on that target volume. But instead, Emeka Egbuka's completely fallen off the map. A couple of splits I saw today since now this tweet, it's coming from Scott Barrett, who's citing another guy. This guy's looking at a split after week 7. Since then, Emeka Egbuka ranks 3rd in targets, but 28th in catchable targets. He ranks 6th in air yards, but 35th in catchable air yards. It's just a lot of junk volume, quoting Scott Barrett there. But I think that's very true. It's a lot. The numbers are popping up on one side, the target side, but not the reception side, and it's really, I think, a lot to do with Baker Mayfield playing through a couple of injuries. He just doesn't look the same. And we kind of saw the same out of a banged up Baker back in Cleveland. I think people can remember. I don't know if this gets better, man. And if it's not Baker misthrowing Emeka, he's had a couple of really glaring drops, especially in the end zone too. It could easily be a completely different fantasy day, but now week 15, Jamie, what are you doing at Egbuka? How do you see these next 3 weeks playing out?
I'm not afraid to start him because, like you said, he is getting those targets between 8 to 10 a game,
Mm-hmm.
and not only targets, but he's seeing red zone targets. I think he had red zone targets in every single game he's played this year, except for 3. I know he hasn't hit 10 points in the past 4 weeks. I actually like this matchup going into this week. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, so I'm not afraid to start Egbuka this week.
Yeah, and I mean, viewers, remember Jamie's from the future, so I think I guess I got to plug Egbuka into my lineup there, but certainly concerned. I think there'll be a lot of great Egbuka content over the offseason for sure. But let me get on to my fake, and I think that's going to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts with a rare -4-point fantasy play yesterday. 2 turnovers on the same play, man. I'm sure so many different leagues, like combinations came down to like that game, and Hurts, probably projected 20 points and then ending up with 4. It was like negative for like half of it. But I'm not losing any faith in Jalen Hurts, in the fantasy playoffs. I know the last couple of weeks have been rough. He did have a 31-point game against the Dallas Cowboys, but otherwise you're looking 12, 14.5, 17, 4.4 yesterday. So definitely a downturn. The eye test is almost always worse with Jalen Hurts, like sometimes the way he accumulates his points. And yeah, the eye test does not look good, but I'm not concerned for fantasy purposes. Before that point, before the bye, Jalen Hurts was QB5 in points per game and a very, very consistent 20-point finisher. We know the ceiling he can have. The tush push discussion is another interesting one that we'll have to talk about with ceiling. But yeah, I do want to just hammer these matchups of Raiders, Commanders, and then Bills in week 17, right? With the Eagles, there's no excuse. They need to keep winning until the last moment. At one point, you could have been worried about, can they ease up? They certainly cannot now. So, Jordan, what do you think about Jalen Hurts? And is there any worry for you, or are you still locking him in as an elite QB?
I mean, honestly, as bad as he looked last night, I think this is good for us fantasy managers. Like you said, they were running away with the division at one point. Now they
Mm-hmm.
actually have a lot to play for, and not only that, a lot of every team wants to be playing its best going into the playoffs. So they're going to be tweaking some things. They're going to probably go back to whatever their bread and butter was, pushing from wherever yard line they got to get to. And obviously, he's the biggest beneficiary of that. So I'm not worried about him at all,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the Raiders coming up and the Commanders, like you mentioned. So start him. Feel confident starting him. He's gonna. Him and AJ Brown is getting the connection, which is good. I think he just needs to get back to using his legs a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he'll be fine. And these are the teams to be able to get it right against.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. So that was real or fake. Let's move on to host choice, starting off with Jamie and matchup mania. Take it away.
All right, yeah, let's talk about the outside wide receivers versus the Falcons.
Mm,
Atlanta is giving up the most fantasy points to outside receivers compared to any other team in the league. They're giving up 28 points allowed to that position per game, and that's 77% of their total to all wide receivers is to the outside. That's why I said I'm not afraid to start Ibuka because he only plays about 20% in the slot. But we have Mike Evans coming back, and I'm trusting Mike Evans in this matchup. He only needs 860 yards to hit that 1,000-yard mark, right? He still has 4 games left to do it. So that's only an average of 215 yards per game the rest of the season. I can easily see him doing that this week, getting 200 plus. Maybe he hits 300, and we'll see if he gets his 1,000. But for this game, in this game right now, I am putting Mike Evans back in my lineup. His first game off of injury, so trust Evans. His first game back, he could be a game winner.
that's a pretty bold call.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bold call. Jordan, are you on the same page there as Mike Evans?
No, I'm not on the same. I'm not exactly on that bold of a page because from the Ibuka discussion, I just went back to look at Baker Mayfield's numbers over the last several weeks,
Yeah.
and it's spooky, man. And I'm at this late in the season. I know Evans kind of opens up the offense a little bit more, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
finally have all their guys healthy for the most part. Godwin, Evans, and then Jalen McMillan is also practicing with Ibuka. So things could be looking up for Baker, but I have to see it. And I think Evans will get his targets just from the simple his presence. He'll get his targets. So I think he'll be productive. But I'm not as confident in him as Jamie is.
Yeah, Jamie, let's kind of want to test that where your line of Mike Evans starts are. Like, would you rather start Mike Evans or either of the Commanders wide receivers?
Oh, not the Commanders wide receivers, not this week. I'm
So,
out.
so, w- would you start Evans or the Commanders receivers?
I'd probably go Evans.
Evans, okay. So, would you start Evans or any of the Colts wide receivers?
Ooh, no, that's an easy one. I'm not touching the
Evans,
Colts. Evans.
yeah,
Mm.
for sure, for sure. What
Mike,
about
yeah, go. No,
what
you go
about
ahead.
Mike Evans or like Ted McMillan?
See, I'd probably have them like really close back to back. So both between 20 to 24 for wide receivers.
Yeah. Big calls there. Jordan reminding everyone to pick up Mike Evans and IR. There still might be a chance he's out there on your waiver wire, so definitely go check for Mike Evans, our very own JV from the future, as we have established, has called Mike Evans a top 24 wide receiver in Week 15. So let's move on to Jordan's topic, the crystal ball.
Jackson, man, it's simple. Jackson Dart is going to have a huge game against the Commanders. He's back. He's rocking. Um, the Commanders' defense stinks. Jaden Daniels is banged up, which means that the offense it won't be as prolific. Giants' defense kind of stinks, but I still feel like they'll be able to, without Ertz, without Daniels, it'll be rough sledding, and I think Dart will be able to capitalize on their defense, running the ball, throwing the ball. He's going to be able to do it all on them. And that just kind of brings me into a mini rant, just in honor of my guy Mike while he's out. You know, the Giants are going to live and die with Jackson Dart, whether he's throwing an interception, no matter the time of game, what possession, where they are on the field. I just want to go back to Cleveland for a second. And your rookie quarterback throws a touchdown in the corner of the end zone that nobody else on your roster could have made to Harold Fannin. Great catch. You need to go for 2. What the hell did they draw up? Like, Quinshawn Judkins looked at Larvadino, whoever the hell that was, doing the reverse, and then he looked at it like, oh, my bad. Like he was supposed to throw it, and he didn't. Then he threw it across the what the hell was that? Like, your guy got you down there and gave you a chance to tie it up. Leave him in the game. And then Stefanski was asked about it after the game. He was like, "Oh, it just didn't work out." You think it didn't work out? Like, it was just a foolish thing. I know they had been doing a lot of Wildcat things when they get in the red zone since Shador. They didn't do this before Shador. They started doing this after he became a starter. Okay, that's fine. But that was a horrible play call. Considering the way that the game was going and what he was doing with the offense, they should have gave him a chance to make a throw to tie the game up.
Yeah, I 100% agree. They did get that play from the water boy. I don't know if you remember that scene where he's like, "We're gonna fake it this way, pretend to fake it that way," and yeah, no, that was a crap shoot.
That's
But
why Quinshawn Judkins is a running back.
yes,
He did not read that accurately at all. That was terrible.
but going off Jackson Dart, man, I love Jackson Dart. I'm gonna ride and die with this guy. I have him. I'm gonna put him like top 5 this week alone, going against Washington, and or actually, Joe Burrow against Baltimore. I don't know if I can start him. Hurts. Then there's Drake May. So yeah, I put him 6 above guys like Jaden Daniels, above Matthew Stafford, above Dak, above Mahomes. What's up, Kyle? Kyle's in the house.
Hey, Kyle. Oh, good that you brought that up, James. I was also just I want to make sure if we're having any questions in the comments, that we are getting to them. So Jamie, please keep an eye on, because I am technologically inept. But on that note, I will get into my topic of the week, and that is, of course, boom and doom in 1 second. But because Kyle just said that he traded a first-round pick for Judkins. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's a QB Cleveland. Yeah. I think that's right, Kyle. But boom and doom, there's going to be a prayer circle. I need you all to pray for me a little bit later. But first, with the boom, I'm going to go with the Rams wide receivers against the Detroit Lions, a game that I will be in attendance for. Nice. Should be one of the games of the week, games of the season so far. Hopefully a high-scoring one. And the Lions have been an absolute pass funnel for teams of late. I know George Pickens didn't get there last week, but both CeeDee Lamb and Ryan Flournoy did. And man, I think both the Rams wide receivers merit top 5 wide receiver consideration. At least 100-yard game for Puka, and certainly a touchdown for the best goal line weapon in the entire league in Devontae Adams. So I think pretty simple one there. All right, but here's the prayer circle, guys. I am facing just a ridiculous amount of Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson this week in week 15. I have no shares. Any shares that I had in Dynasty, I got rid of like a year or more than a year ago. And this guy is, basically turned into the desert Jamar Chase with his ability to handle like 15 plus targets a game, a 30 bomb last week. And, who knows if Marvin Harrison comes back, their season is basically over. But sometimes when you need a savior, you find it in the Houston Texans defense, right? The Houston Texans have shut down wide receivers in the last 5 games, only allowed 100-yard game. That was to Khalil Shakir. Alec Pierce went 4 for 78 and a touchdown. But otherwise, a lot of big-name receivers have been absolutely shut down against the Houston Texans. Now, I know Michael Wilson, he does it a little bit differently. The Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett, there's just so much volume, right, in that offense. It's just a bunch of dink and dunk routes over the middle. Nothing wrong with Michael Wilson, who I think he's playing very, very well. He's an NFL wide receiver, certainly. But that's kind of where it's like, can they still volume get Michael Wilson there? I don't know. So, I'll turn to the field. What do you got? What is going to happen to Michael Wilson this week, assuming Marvin Harrison is out?
I'm not putting him inside my top 40 this week. So Jacoby Brissett, he is going to be around QB 30 for me.
Damn.
Wow.
Think about it. Okay, so he hasn't had a game outside the top 12 since he was a starter.
Exactly.
He's going against Houston, guys. It's the matchup. I don't think he's going to come close to top 12 this week, and that just doesn't bode well for the receivers that he's going to be throwing it to. So I'm out on all the Cardinals.
Ooh, even McBride, maybe Jordan, Michael Wilson, McBride. Any concerns?
Yeah, McBride will probably get volume, so I definitely am starting him. But for receivers, no, no running backs, no quarterback. I'm good.
I'm not excited to do it, but they haven't been able to be stopped. And I know that's always Houston's defense just did to Mahomes. But man, it's just something about the volume, like you mentioned. Now, if they don't get the volume, then it can get ugly. But even if it's a blowout, I feel like they're gonna come through in the end with garbage time, because that's just what they've been able to do at all points. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it is a blowout, the Texans got the blowout, started trying to make sure guys stay healthy, and if they do that, assuming it's a blowout, but I don't think it will be. I think it'll be competitive just because the Texans' offense isn't explosive.
Right.
It'll be a competitive game, and I think Brissett will be slinging it all over. He may have some turnovers, but may get sacked 5 or 6 times too. But I think he'll throw for about 250, and then from that, the passing game is so like the same 2-3 guys centralized that they're gonna have production just off of that. I'm not confident in it, but I think you can start Wilson as like a wide receiver 3, and he can get you 10 points. I think he can get you 10 to 12.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly would. Sorry, Jay, but I certainly, which I don't own Michael Wilson, but as a Michael Wilson owner, I would find it very hard to take him out of the lineup if Marv is ruled out. I think you have to just run with him there. But yeah, JD, go ahead.
So Kyle is right. 30 is a little extreme, so I'm looking, and I'm going to 29 because I'm going to put him above Shador Sanders. I'm going to put him above Geno Smith and above Riley Leonard, right? I don't think I don't think I could put him above like a Kirk Cousins, a Cam Ward going against San Fran. Shuck's gonna have.
You can't put him over Cam Ward.
No.
What about Bryce Young?
No, I mean I'd put Bryce Young closer to 20 against the Saints.
That's fair.
Okay, but
Um,
there was a quarterback who played this week in the NFL that I swear was like a computer generated name, Brady
Brady Cook.
Cook. Is it going to be Justin Fields? I think he was also
He
injured
was
and out of that
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so certainly over the whoever the Jets trot out.
unless
JB.
it's Justin Fields. I mean, if it is Fields, you got to put Fields higher just
And
for the
well,
rushing alone.
God damn.
whichever way you take it, you have both at least filled me with the reassurance. So I would say the segment achieved what I wanted it to do. We are going to skip the last thing that's on the show sheet, which is Mike's rant of the week. Supposedly, Mike wrote in, "Why is JB so damn good at fantasy football?" But
I
since
mean,
we
if you guys want to rant about that, go right ahead. I
since
don't
we
mind.
already dedicated 10 minutes earlier, we'll skip that one right now and go right into the ad read. Jamie, if you can help us out there with the
Yep.
fun. But of course, our show today and all the shows in the Going for Two network are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Use code GF2 or that QR code right on the screen there to get deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Let me tell you guys, I finally checked my Underdog app yesterday. In BBM, 5 out of 20 teams making it to the next round. I'll take, again, the motto of the year, slightly above mid, but I'll take it because I had 37% Jalen Wright, atrocious pick, and then in week 14, Jalen Wright and some Tony Pollards went off. But Underdog Fantasy, there's a lot to play year round. You can get into even weeks 15 through 17, or if you want your fix after fantasy, get into some playoff fantasy football. A lot to play on Underdog Fantasy. Reminder to use that code GF2 to get up to $1,000 in bonus match.
Yeah, I love Underdog. I only did one Best Ball Mania, and I am advancing still. So
Let's go. Let's go.
bravo. Yep.
Yeah, but I'll have to share my exposure list after the show. It is not pretty. It's not just that I have no hits of my like top 10 exposures or 15. They're all misses, man. It was a horrendously bad off season, but we continue to improve year on year on year. So let's get right into the last segment of the night. That's, of course, Cheat of the Week. Waiver wires to dominate Week 15, set you up to win your championship. So, Jamie, who do you have for the viewers tonight?
Yeah, I mean, with it being week 15, I think we all have some bonuses that we can talk about. My first one, I am going out getting Blake Corum because I think the days of actually treating Blake Corum just as a backup are completely done. Like he's forcing his way into like a weekly flex consideration. And over the past 2 weeks, he's turned 20 touches into over 200 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and he's in an offense that's explosive. Like with the Rams, like there's plenty of fantasy points to go around, even with Corum blowing up like this, only getting 30% of the snap share. So I would trust him. If also Kyron gets hurt, Corum will be a must start RB2 with RB1 weekly upside just because of that offense. So like the playoff schedule, I look forward. It's not that friendly for the running backs on the Rams. He'll see Detroit and Seattle, but that upside is just too obvious to really ignore that. Corum is absolutely worth a pickup. And then we have Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright because there's an injury to Devin A. Chain. He goes down with that rib injury. I think he's playing. McDaniels did say he is expected to play, but just in case, because we've played this game before, and that doesn't really just wipe out the upside for Ollie or Jalen Wright. So you can maybe just throw one of those on your bench. And if I would go after Wright over Gordon.
Yeah.
If let me ask you this, Jamie, would you, if you could, would you have both of them just in case, or would you just kind of prioritize Wright, and if you didn't get Wright, Gordon would be fine?
Yeah, I don't want both of them to clog up my roster because most redrafts, I know I only have like 5 or 6 roster spots.
Mhm.
So I don't really have the room for both of them.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, for me, Harold Fannin. I know he's like around 50 or so percent rostered. Um, get him. He's become Shador's top target. We knew tight ends were going to be popular in Cleveland going into the season. I just thought it would be David Njoku, silly me, but
Mhm.
it wasn't. So Harold Fannin has taken over. Njoku's hurt also. So, uh, but even when he wasn't, he just wasn't the guy. So yeah, go pick him up if he's available. Jaden Reed as well. He came back, saw action last week. Had some targets. He had 2 rushing attempts as well for 22 yards. Only played around 47% of the snaps. That's gonna go up. They're gonna rely on him a little bit more. He's not gonna be the top target earner on that team. He never has been, but he doesn't need to be with the way that they use him. So he can provide flex value if you need somebody. They play. Uh, I forgot exactly who they play this week. That's shame on me, but yeah, he can
The
be
Packers
useful.
fan there, they're
Yeah,
playing the Broncos, so it's a
definitely
little
don't want to use him.
yeah.
Definitely don't want to use him this week, but if you make it past then he could be serviceable. Another game against Chicago coming up soon, so you can use him as well.
For sure. And I'll go quick, a couple quick ones. One, Flournoy, we talked right at the top of the show. If CD Lamb is out and you're in a desperate spot, I don't hate Flournoy against the Vikings. It could even be like the kind of game where it gets over early, Pickens is pulled back, and then Flournoy is just, out there, dicing up the backups. But Flournoy, keep an eye on him if CD is out. The one guy I do think if he's out there and could be a very legitimate starter this week is Chris Rodriguez, Commanders running back, who's completely taken over the backfield. He a little bit of a low ceiling because he doesn't have a pass catching floor, but he's certainly the goal line back. And I do want to attack the matchup against the New York Giants, who are conceding a lot of yards and touchdowns on the ground. So this is one where, again, Rodriguez, if you're RB2 is a little shaky, or you're deciding between that wide receiver 3 or big C rods on the waiver wire, consider picking up the Commanders running back because you can easily get that touchdown, and his efficiency's not been too bad for for a big boy there. So Chris Rodriguez, any last words? We kept a pretty tight ship this week, guys. I'm actually kind of thinking about a bonus segment. Of course, very self-indulgently, one lineup question from each of us this week. One lineup that I'm looking at, I have a choice of Kyle Monangai, Kareem Hunt, or I guess I could play Debo Samuel or Jawan Jennings. I'm probably not considering the wide receivers, but Monangai against the Cleveland Browns or Kareem Hunt against the Chargers. What say you? Half PPR.
Manunga.
Yeah, that's tough because I don't want to play running backs versus the Browns, especially when that splits carries.
Yeah, but Tony Pollard. But Tony
I'm going.
Pollard.
I'm going with Manunga. The Bears want to run the ball every other play. I'm definitely going. But out of those two,
I was still going Monangai.
Mhm.
I,
All
I
right.
like Jennings. I wouldn't be against that.
Jennings. I am also gonna start Kittle.
Oh, okay.
And that's one. They are playing the Titans. But maybe not a team that I don't really like to
No,
play
two.
both the
Yeah,
wide receiver and
no, I
tight
get you.
end.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, on a CMC focused team, right? So that's one, and then Debo post Terry a little worried. So that's one that'll keep me up for the next couple of days. What about you, Jordan? Any early lineup
Yeah.
questions you're debating?
So in one league, I have Trevion Henderson, R.J. Harvey, Ashton Genty, and Travis Etienne. So I have
Oof.
4 running backs, 3 spots to use. As of now, I think I have Trevion on the bench, but I was thinking about putting Genty on the bench. So what do y'all think?
JB?
So wait, what are the choices?
The 3 rookies, RJ Harvey, Trevion, and Genty, as well as Etienne.
Sit one.
sit one. God damn, man.
Henderson's playing the Bills. Harvey's playing the Packers. ATN's playing the Jets. And Harvey is. Oh, yeah. And oh, yeah. I already said that.
Genty against Eagles,
The
I think, is the
Eagles. Yeah.
last one. And
Yeah.
Genty is going to be mine. I think Travion's in a great matchup. RJ Harvey has the offense. He's not the best matchup, but he has the offense. And ETN, I think ETN against this Jets team with Brady Cook as the quarterback, give me the running back against that offense. So for me, I'm going to sit Genty.
I don't think I can sit Genty, man. I have a feeling I'm going to put him in my top 12, and Henderson's already in my top 10.
Okay, well.
So it would be between ETN and Harvey. Man, that's a close one. I'm just gonna say Harvey. I would sit Harvey.
Yeah, I mean, you're blessed with riches there, Jordan. That's a nicer problem to have.
That's a 6 and 8 team.
that's how fantasy football goes. What about you, Jamie? Any early lineup conundrums?
I mean,
or you're from the future, though.
Yeah,
so
my lineups are all pretty stacked. But let's say CeeDee Lamb does.
Of course.
If CeeDee Lamb does sit, I could start. Let me see. Let me pull it up. Gadsden, it's a tight end premium, half point, or Jaden Higgins. Or I could even go Jaden Reed.
Boy, that's ugly.
I mean, or I could just put in Blake Corum. So,
ooh, against the Lions is not as much, but honestly, I might want to do Blake Corum there.
Yeah, definitely not Gaston and not Reed. I was thinking about Higgins briefly, but nah, Blake Corum, man. Definitely go with Blake Corum.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure the three of us will get into a lot more start sits as the week comes. You can, of course, drop any other comments down this video or find us on Twitter. I'm at SmallTalkFF. Jamie's at Jamie Perot, and Jordan does not want to be found, so don't ask Jordan. But great show again, guys. Jordan, any last words before we head out?
No, man, just good luck to everybody. Get the guys you want to get on waivers, set those lineups, kick some ass, and hopefully let's advance.
Yes, sir. Jamie?
I mean, episode's over. Go hit the waivers like it owes you money. We're out of here. Enjoy the week. Enjoy your matchups, and may your tight end get more action than you do.
But let's hope he doesn't come out as a wide receiver. But yeah, great show, guys. Good luck to one and all for the fantasy playoffs. Let's bring home some championships. Thank you there, Kyle. From myself, from Jordan, from Jamie, and of course from Mike, this has been the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. We'll catch you all next week.